Oh hi, I'm Jen and welcome to my studio, and today we are doing a step tutorial. So I've gotten a lot of requests for this specific step, and it's one I've done before, but it's not one that I've done before. That makes sense, I promise. So I have a step tutorial on how to do a pullback. If you've never done a pullback before, down below in the description will be a link to take you to the how to do a pullback video. But I've had a lot of people ask me to take it a step further and say how to do a pullback from just your toes and not having your heels on the floor. It's a slightly different technique, and it's one that you have to work towards. So consider this your level 2 pullback tutorial. Cool? Okay, so if you've never done a pullback before, you really need to go to that other video, because I'm not really going to start with that. I'm not starting with this is how you do a pullback. So go to the other video. This assumes you know how to do a pullback, but you just can't get off your heels. So when you do a pullback, remember that I said you pick up your feet. So it's right foot. Then you put all of your weight into your left hip. You put all of your weight into the back of your left hip as you pull, switch, and land on the right foot. My balance is like not quite there. So you pull, and then land, and then step. And the higher that you pick this foot up, the more space between the foot and the floor, which means the more likelihood of having a separation of sound. Okay? So that's the basic premise, but my heels were on the floor. And that gives you leverage. When you have your heels on the floor, you get the leverage of being able to pick up your toe like that as you go back. What happens when you can't put your heels on the floor? You don't get that leverage, so it's a little different. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna be up on your toes. And I'm separating my feet like this. That's not how you normally would start. You normally start with your feet together, but I want you to be able to see what my feet are doing. You're up on your toes, and there has to be this like plie, pick up, and you leave the floor, and then strike on the way back. So you kind of have to jump strike. It's not, you can't go from the floor without lifting first. Otherwise, the only sound you're gonna get is that. You have to lift first. So there's this little up right before you go. Okay, so as you go, let's see, let me not separate my feet too much, but just enough so you can see. It's 1. Now, all of your weight goes same thing, into your left hip, but this time you're gonna give it more of a plie, more of a jump, so that you can up, strike, and then land. So on that left foot, up, strike, and then land. I will see about putting in a slow motion video right about here, so you guys can see that. But you have to plie into the ground, and then lift, strike, then land. Now, I'm over-exaggerating. You don't want to pick up your foot this way in the front. You want to try to keep it as small as possible, so you want to go up. So, let's try the other leg. Let's just try the other leg. And when you first try this, you're going to have a lot of failed attempts. I'm telling you right now. You're going to have tons of failed attempts when you first try it. But the more you practice and the more you understand the mechanics of it, the better it gets. So on the left, you have that first strike. In slow motion, I've got to hold on to my mantle. You have that first strike. You plie, strike. Now, this right foot is free. Or this right foot is on the floor. It is not free. It is very not free. It's on the floor. You have to plie, lift and strike real quick. It probably, like, from that far away, it probably just seems like it's just, okay, I'm going back. There's a lift and then a strike. It's the quickest little movement. That's how you end up doing it from your toes. It is such a hard thing to teach and a hard thing to explain, which is why I'm definitely inserting slow motion videos that you guys can see what's happening. One of the best things that you can do is find 2 things to hold on to, like 2 kitchen counters that are close to each other, or if you're lucky enough to have access to bars, like if you're at a studio and you have bars in the corner, Hold on to the bars in the corner so that you can pick yourself up and have all that leverage with your arms so that your legs don't have to worry about gravity. Then you can play around with, oh, that's how it works. Because my right foot, if I'm standing on my left, doesn't have to worry about gravity, right? It's just up and then back. But my left foot, that one does have to worry about gravity, because if I lift that one up, I'm coming down, you know? I'm automatically coming down. So having the leverage to practice the motion is very helpful. If you don't have a counter, if you don't have two counters close to each other, try to see if you can get like a little table, bring it next to the counter, so as long as it can hold your weight. Make sure that whatever you're putting all of your weight on can hold your weight. I have made that mistake before, and I have broken things. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like it'll hold my, nope, okay, I broke it. It was a chair. But make sure that you have to give it that plie. So when you're doing these, from your toes, it's a plie into the ground and a jump first. And then you are strike, strike, land, land. Plie, strike, strike, land, land after you jump. You have to jump first. And I think if I get anything across in this video, it has to be that. You have to jump first. Jump, strike, strike, land, land. That was supposed to be English. Jump, strike, strike, land, land. Cool. Let's try that again. So you're going to go 5, 6, 7, 8. Jump on 1, strike, strike, land, land. Got it? 5, 6, 7, 8. Try again. I'm trying to make the movements bigger, but eventually you want the movements as small as possible. But when you first start, they will be big. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, left side. Now, we get a little afraid of the left side, and I said this in the other video. The left side should be your better side if you're right leg dominant, because it's your right leg doing the hard part. Remember, you've got left, and now your right leg is the one doing the hard work. So don't be afraid of left. Trust your right foot to handle this. Unless you're a lefty, then the other side's probably going to be better. So ready? Plie, lift, pull back. 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, one more time. 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. One more thing. You have to work with the floor. And I've said this so many times to people, there is a lot more happening inside the shoe than anybody really talks about. We talk about how to move your ankle, we talk about how to move your foot, your leg, everything. We don't really talk about what happens inside the shoe. For this, what helps me is that I actually try to grip a little bit of the floor as I go back. Now, I'm not like crunching my toes or anything, but I am trying to make sure that inside the shoe, I angle down a little bit and like just grab the floor on the way back. It's just a tiny little grab. My toes go a little bit, grab. It's not a crunch. It's not that thing that your ballet teacher never wants to see you do. It's just a tiny little, it's action in the toe joints. That helps me every time. It might help you. It might not. Some people will be like, no, I can't do that with my toes. That's fine. This isn't the ballet technique of pointing your foot, because that comes from here. That comes from the actual arch of the top of the foot. This is just a little with the toes, just to grip the floor a little bit. It helps me with my grab-offs too, like those. And it's the same thing in the middle of a pullback. It's basically a grab-off. So it has that little, as I go back, just to grip a little bit and make sure that I stay near the floor. It's this tiny little, I wish I had like an X-ray machine that I could do these with so you can see how much my toes are bending. There's a lot more happening inside the shoe than we talk about. And my feet are active inside the shoe during this step every single time. And again, this is one of those steps I was like, how am I supposed to explain this in a video? I hope I did. If you guys have more questions, please put them down below in the comment section. let me know if you have more questions about this step. This is one of those steps it's much easier to look at somebody try to do it and say, okay, change this, do this. But an overarching, here it is a little difficult with this step. But remember the key things that I taught. Make sure that you jump first. Make sure that you focus on jump strike, your weight's in the correct place, and give it a little bit of action in the toes, just a little activity inside the shoe to keep your feet engaged. But I hope that this really, really helped you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this little step tutorial of pullbacks from releve, pullbacks from the toe tap. I don't really know what to call it. I'd have to figure that out. But pullbacks from here, no heels on the floor. And this is the evolution of where you want your pullbacks to go. You want, like at first when you start with your heels on the floor, and then you graduate to being able to do them not with your heels on the floor. Because you can't do 2 in a row until you figure out how to do it like this. Because think about it, you do a pullback from your, let's say you're from your heels. You can't put your heels down again to do the second one. So the second one at least has to be from up on the toe. It has to. And again, I'm only separating here so that you guys can see. You should be here next to each other when you do these, unless the choreographer asks specifically for you to do otherwise. So again, I hope that this really helped. If you have more questions, I'm always happy to answer them. And yeah, if you aren't subscribed to this channel already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button so other tap dancers can find this video easier. And if you are new to pullbacks and you still wanted to check this video out before trying out the other one, the other link is down below to the original pullback video, along with a list, there's a link to my whole playlist of step tutorials. There are tons of them for you to learn, so go ahead and take advantage of that. That's what my channel's for. So subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and as always, thank you for dancing with me.